Right, evening everyone, if we make a start, welcome to the November Brent Knoll Parish Council meeting. If we can start with apologies for absence, do we have any?
We do, Andy, Malcolm, Amanda.
Is everyone happy that we accept those apologies?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Any declaration of interest? Mine is the normal, as a member of Somerset Council. I don't. Is there anyone there for shop today?
Okay, so it's not.
So I don't worry about
So
that.
just charging and planning.
Just legal planning.
Okay. And that's a privileged one, isn't it? So,
Yeah, brilliant. So,
any other declarations? No? Good. Next item is the minutes from the previous meeting, which has all been circulated. Are there any amendments to those? And if not, is there someone who's prepared to propose them as a true record to sign?
Or second.
Seconded. All those in favour of that sign, please just show. We don't have any members of the public tonight, so we can move straight on to item 5, planning matters, and I'll give you a chance to go through it.
Thank you.
Colin, will you going to introduce us, I think?
Okay, this is 157 Brent Street, which is directly opposite the Red Cow. It is a modern house, and it is a variation to original planning application, which was submitted some time ago. I looked at the original one, we passed that. But if you could look at first of all, look at the
Block plan.
yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you were in a different.
Proposed block.
No, because they're all different elevations. So if you look at the existing, please, block plan,
Right, okay.
you'll see in the top there is a conservatory. That's with the triangle shape. The proposal is to knock that down or remove it, and if you go to the next one, the proposed, you'll see that the conservatory has been removed and the building has been altered to take into consideration the area, if you like, that was formerly occupied by the conservatory. There have been no objections to this. I noticed online it's purely, if you like, an amendment which will probably enhance the property for the benefit of the owners. If you'd like to look at get a view, I'm not quite sure which elevation, probably try one of those. I'm not sure which one. That's the rear of the, no it's not, that's the front of the house facing the Red Cow. So if you want to look at another elevation, try the southwest one. That's better. That's the rear of the house, and you can see where the balcony is and the sliding doors below. That's where the existing conservatory is. So, in all honesty, it's just really probably making the best of their property that they can. I don't see any problem with the application or what is being proposed. I cannot recommend anything, I can just point it out to you.
Any comments or questions that anyone's got? In which case, is there a recommendation?
I recommend it, yeah, pass it. No,
On the basis that the extension is in
Yeah.
character with the existing property and not having any Okay. That's seconded at the end of the table. All those in favour, please show. Thank you.
okay.
Item 6 is clerk's report.
There's only just two items really. We had a surgery yesterday. We had the lady from Farm, I think it is, which is an issue that has been rumbling on a bit, and it's to do with styles. And I think you received a copy. You should have received an email, so you know what it's about. And it's something which we're going to look into, I guess.
I haven't seen that.
Well, a while ago, about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Can you tell us, can you outline what it's about?
We did, David, I think you know something about this one, do you?
I think it,
Without mentioning names.
yeah, I think the lady phoned Amanda up
Yeah.
quite some time ago and was upset about the fact that they had animals in the field, but dog walkers were destroying the stiles that are there to get into the field. And I think they sort of said, we've done gates everywhere else, could they have some gates? And I think it just sort of disappeared into time and it's come back. I was just looking for when it was, but
They did some photos on her phone when she came to the surgery, which shows that the stiles are not in good repair. It's on footpath 81, which is the one that heads from the reservoir over to Burton Road direction. But we'll bring that up in detail when we get to the footpaths team bit.
Well, going downhill then, it would be going down
So it's on the
that steep
level
hill.
before you get down to the steep hill.
On the level.
There's a big oak tree. If you look from the Burton Road, looking up the hill, there's a big oak tree and the footpath runs behind that.
Oh, is that the path that we call the Llama Trail that runs across the top and comes out by Bullcops Hall, or are you at the top, very top?
Yes, so we're on the level. So you've gone up to the reservoirs, and so if you parked in our car park, you walk past the reservoir, then you head out towards Burton Row along on the top, across where the Angie Steer has her horses up there. If you continue that path on, it's further down that path as you head towards East Brent.
Is that's not us though, is it?
It's still just in us. It's on our AX81, but on near the boundary.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay.
Something followed through, I guess.
Well, we can, if we raise it, so we get the footpath.
It was a bad style, that was.
And the only other thing I'm just going to mention is the fact that you may recall that I did say that at some point I was actually going to add North Curry to my portfolio of parish councils. That is not going to be continuous. That will come to an end in December for all sorts of reasons. But let's just say the match didn't work. So we've agreed to take on a new club. Sorry?
Archways.
Yeah, exactly. So I should be concentrating solely on Brent Knoll in January. Okay.
That takes on to correspondence.
There's nothing particular. The only thing we're going to bring up later, I think, is National Grid. You saw the note from National Grid about their potential for wanting to do some work additional to what they'd already done before the shop was built. But because of the confidential nature of it, we've got a press and public exclusion clause on the agenda later on. So if we can raise it under that, that'd be more sensible at this stage.
Yes, there is a question I'd like to ask about it, so leave until later.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you circulated it on the tracker.
The new tracker, I took a lot of stuff off it this time. There was an awful lot of dead stuff on there, which frankly we've dealt with. So what you've got on there now is the sort of fresh items that are current. So if anybody's got any query on any of those, then please shout. Okay.
Excellent. If we move on then to the working groups, we start with footpaths. Is there anything that anyone wants to report on the footpaths to start with? Yes, Amy.
Sorry, that corner, Station Road, that footpath there, that corner, have you heard any more or anything about it? We got,
You're talking about the pavement.
yeah, pavement, which is the pavement gateway. Yeah.
It's on their list of what's to do, but they haven't given us a date since they moved the date last time. So
Right.
it's still with highways.
Okay.
On the footpaths, coming back to the one that was mentioned in the surgery, as I said, the person who's raised it with us has shown that there's two basically styles there that need potentially replacing. They would like to have them replaced by kissing gates if possible, because that would then mean it's stock proof and aid to the dog walkers. I think we do have at least
We have 2 kissing gates in stock and 2 Stafford gates.
So is it, I just wonder whether it's worth us asking whether Chris is prepared to supply us with one more kissing gate, so we've
Yeah.
got one ready to go.
Yeah.
But if members then happy that we look to have those 2 replaced with kissing gates, and we'll get a couple of days for the installation of those. Okay, thank you. All those in favour? Excellent. Highways, we've mentioned the pavement one. Anything on the roads themselves? Yes.
Middle Street, the
Yes.
tractors have taken out the
Jane,
The
why are you not
barriers.
just standing there telling them?
well,
She is.
there's only tractors I think that could be doing it, but they've taken out the fencing that's on the corner of the Reen of Middle Street. I mean, they were bad before, but they're virtually, you could go out there and push them.
On that front, we're currently waiting a quote from 2 different people for
Right.
repair or replacement of that fence.
Okay.
So once we get that,
Yeah.
we have chased them.
Yeah.
At the moment, we're hoping we'll definitely get another 7 days.
And obviously the Station Road, Brent Street corner, that's still ongoing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. A and then Charlie.
Station Road Bridge again, that's gone down to 1.25 inches now, depth, and it's just sinking, because when they had all the diversion going around, all the 44 tonners are coming through here, and of course that's not open, and they're going over the bridge, and you know, it's pulling people into the side and pulling people into, something's going to happen there one day, and then he's just, you know,
The road's atrocious, isn't it, that road?
Is that the road on the way?
yeah, Station Road and over the bridge.
It's awful, the potholes and everything.
Okay.
So this is going back to Jane's comment. Is it worth us maybe putting a communication to people that live around the Middle Street junction? Because if tractors are, or if someone is taking out these barriers, we're going to be continually repairing them. And people, a lot of them have CCTV or Ring doorbells that we can maybe find someone to do, fine someone and say, did you
It is the
realise you've done
larger
this?
vehicles, definitely, because I mean, most people who drive cars,
It would be.
they don't have barriers there, and the tractors are huge. And I don't, they're not doing it intentionally.
No, I know,
It's
but
just,
ultimately we're
Yeah.
picking up the cost
Yeah.
for this, and no one's coming to us and saying, "Well, I'm really sorry, we took out
well,
this
there's
barrier."
only 1, 2, 3. There's only 4 houses along Middle Street who are near that area.
I'm just wondering if they do have anything.
I don't know, because they're in the wrong position for that corner.
No one's got any cameras on it at that point.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
It's just a shame because we could
Yeah.
go this time next year going, you know what?
Yeah.
Okay.
For people who don't know, they could end up in that ring,
That was it.
especially if it's
Just get a little box and put you in it.
I'd be more than happy.
Okay. All right. Anything else on highways? Who was on the village group?
Andy was rotorman on the green for October. I haven't seen anything, but if he's up in well, he's probably
I went round there on Monday,
yeah.
and it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the November one is vacant. Actually, there's nobody on the rotor in November.
I can do November.
Oh, what about me? I ain't voted on it yet.
Loads of volunteers.
That's great lady.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Just while you're talking Village Green, a bit of silverware in front of you is the award that we won for the best playing field of the year in Somerset for the Village Green.
Yeah, we got to apologise for that.
Well, I saw the photo, so.
Well, we got, yeah,
Miscommunication.
what we're going to, they've also issued us with a certificate, so I'm going to ask the parish hall if they would be willing for us to get it framed and put up somewhere, so this is actually on display that we've got that.
Obviously, we've got on our website.
It's nice.
Yes.
Maybe David was there in spirit, wasn't David?
Yeah. And also, which
How long do we get to keep the trophy?
1 year. And what I wasn't aware is they also gave us a prize for the first prize, which is a cheque to the parish council for £100.
Yes.
So I can get that to you.
Right.
Our Christmas
All named it wrong.
So, no, it was really, yes, I must admit, when they said that we might get something, I thought we might get us like it's a nice drink. We've got a commendation for the thing, but to actually end up winning it,
I was saying to Bob earlier, I just wonder whether the council might like to have a permanent
trophy?
something that, because that goes back at the end of the year, where would you have something permanent?
We can, yeah, to put on the
Yeah,
fence.
we can.
Do something.
I'm sure we can sort something.
Oh gosh, Will Abington have won it for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Gosh, they've won it loads of times.
Yeah. Well, Richard is the chairman of the Parent Playing Field Association, and of course he's Royal Hamilton Clark. So, but it did come to me earlier in the year and say it would be good if somebody else won. Would you like to put your name? I did.
So we hadn't actually won it, we were just told we were going to get it.
There
There were other
parishes in the
contenders.
running as well.
Other
So.
contenders.
So, Owen, have we never put our name in for it before?
No.
Oh, well, then it's definitely going to be ours forever then.
We felt it was worth doing this time because we've done quite a lot of work on the green,
Yeah.
we've expanded the equipment, so it was worth, and particularly when we made the decision last year to keep the grass more maintained, it looks
Yeah.
so much better
That's
this year.
good.
So I think it's,
Yeah.
it'll be good.
Where is this living? In
Well,
yours?
at the moment it is, we need to work out where we can have our displays.
Yeah, should go this way somewhere.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Audit and staffing group.
Well, we had an audit staffing group meeting last week, Andy and Colin, Bob, myself. And really, the main purpose of that was to look at the budget for next year, 26, 27. So I'll come on to that later. So that was the main purpose of the meeting. But what that audit group also does is they do a random check on the accounts from the cash book and random check them against the vouchers that we use. So it's really just so that we can say to the external auditor that we are taking all due measures to make sure we're checking as we go through the year. Should do that twice a year, ideally. So that was that and the budget were the two main purposes of the meeting.
Okay. We actually ought to know his initials on the list of members of that because he's not.
Yes.
Not
And,
there.
I'll put it on there, so I'll put it on there.
Shop liaison group hasn't
Nothing.
met.
No.
Flood action group, we were hoping that Amanda was going to give us an update on what happened at the meeting at
Yes.
80.
You spent a very nice
You
day
were
talking.
there. Are you happy to give us an update on what happened?
Well, I thought Amanda said, can we leave it till next meeting, but it's up to you.
Oh, okay, that's
Because
fine.
if we can leave that all to next meeting, because there's a hell of a lot that I've been doing behind the scenes, but I'm not going to bother because I'm not on the
Yeah.
thing.
Okay,
So, yeah.
all right.
All right.
I'm happy that we do that update in December.
You okay?
Okay. Contract review group.
Yeah, contract review, that hasn't met, but we've got something on the agenda later on to discuss, which is the village contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then brings us to the IT working group, and there has been some stuff down with that.
Yes.
There has. I've got loads of notes, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to read. So I met with Aubergine, who look at hosting for parish councils. I think they told me they host something like 600 parish councils throughout the country. And they have 14 people, full-time staff that actually support it. I took him through our site, he took me through some examples of his, and ultimately kind of finalised we can have what we want, but the very, very key thing is we need to remain compliant and follow accessibility guidelines in order to legally be accessibility compliant. At the moment, our site is absolutely not. There's a page building tool they have that allows you to customise the pages. He showed me through it, it's really straightforward, and he says he does the Lionel measurement, which is their 86-year-old parish councillor, and if he can do it, everybody else can do it. I asked him what his package would include, the whole migration of our site to his, and he said that they would build the site based on our existing one, provide training, normally about 90 minutes, and then they'll go live when we sign off the work we want. And there's some caveats in it I'll come back to. There's free monthly ongoing training to whomever, so not just Owen, there could be training for whoever wants to do it, and you can have multiple users accessing it. With regards to the technology, kind of the updates and the patches and the bug fixes, they take care of that automatically. They do sometimes update some standardization, so things going back to accessibility. If it turns around that the standard heading size should be, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, and it needs to be made slightly bigger, they will make that global change so we don't have to worry. But other style changes, like if we've made something purple, they won't change that from being purple kind of thing. There is a bar in the middle. You can have things like announcements for roadworks, but a lot of this is customizable. You can have multiple calendars. The transformation process is this base package I've just discussed. They'll do all the regulatory pages, so all the ones we have to do, and maybe a few others. And then when we do the testing and we're all happy that it's okay, at that point we'll sign off it and go live. Maintenance going forward for the parish council element for it reckons about half an hour a month, so it's not a huge amount. That's all the positive. The negative of it. So we can have as many users as we like, maintain it, but they have to be councillors. So we cannot have anybody from the parish hall work on it unless it was someone like Bob or I, because we have the councillors. So the actual term is we cannot have non-councillors maintain the site. So they either need to be employed by Somerset Council or be nominated like we are. So that's the real downside, because if we follow up what we've got at the moment, which is a blend between the village website and the parish council, how are we going to maintain the village side of it? Now, I did broach this with him, and we came up with kind of a solution. So if I'm one of the parish hall people, maybe I'm doing an events page, I can go onto the site, I can log in, I can make all the changes I like, I can publish it, but the publishing gets sent to a parish councillor to approve. Only when they approve does it go live. So that gives us the chance to do our due diligence, and then we're ultimately taking accountability for the accuracy of it. And the reason for this is if there was any slanderous words on there, if anybody's being homophobic or anything like that, if we're giving carte blanche to non-councillors, we're obviously responsible for it. So if we do want to proceed, the base package would be, they'll take the parish council envelope for it, and they'll go live, and they could put a link to our parish council page to say, here's the village website, and vice versa, we can update the village website to go, here's the parish council page. So that would be our basic, I don't know, 1st January go live option. What we need to think about after that, we've got breathing space to do, is what do we want to do with regards to the village hall website, because obviously there's hosting it going forward, who's going to pick up that, we'll need to talk about that in the...
Well, at the moment, the hall is a completely separate website from the village one.
Right, okay.
And currently, everything that goes on the village website goes through it.
Oh, it does.
Nobody else can put anything on
right,
there
okay.
apart from us.
Okay.
So it goes through Owen to go to what's her name? Debs. So she actually is the manager of the site.
Right, okay.
We basically send stuff to her, but it only comes through the parish council. Nobody else gets to send stuff directly.
Right. So as I said, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
So I was working on the assumption that we were giving credentials to other individuals and they were accessing, like, I don't know, to put on, here's some details about footpaths or here's some details about events. When I was speaking to Market Aubergine, we spoke very much about just doing the parish council element. And that is kind of like their, as I said, their base package, and obviously you've got the costs for that. If we want to do more than that, absolutely they can do that, but it would be add-ons. He showed me the administrative tool. It is really straightforward to do. You can go through a page and say, I want a picture here. So you drag it on and you click browse and it'll list you all the pictures. And there's standard pictures you can use, or you can have like pictures, if we own the copyright obviously, to pictures of Brent Knoll. So it's not hard, but it would need time to invest. I would recommend, if we are going to do that, we consider a few people having access to the site, because otherwise it's a lot of work for just one individual. But we do need to have a central kind of administrator, which I would say is Owen. And if we do have anybody outside of here wanting to maintain the site, I actually would encourage that, because then they can build all the pages. Then again, it goes to an approver before it gets published. So I was really impressed with him, and going back to the other guy we met, I can't remember the name of.
It was Easy Website.
Easy Website.
Scotsman.
Yeah, the big downside is it's one username and password, and that is all he could give us, where this has a lot more flexibility. And even though it's a custom pack or a standard package, they look completely different. There's a lot of flexibility in how you want it to look. So I said I was really impressed. I didn't look up the costs, so I don't
Well,
know.
the cost of the, for us would be, this is a basic package, so £499 plus VAT, so 500 quid basically, plus VAT. And then there's a lot of sort of bits and pieces of extras at the end, but that's the basic package you're referring to. So,
And that's the one-off upfront first setup cost.
One-off, and that includes one-off setup and build, site build, annual subscription, SSL, hosting and support, free government.uk domain for 1 year, all legally required content transfer included, free training, support from council's sector experts, free monthly accessibility, publishing refresher webinars, and 2-year fixed price guarantee. So that's all on that's their standard package. There's a whole raft of things outside of that, but you know that's the package.
That's really cheap.
I would have thought so.
Yeah, if
It's
you
quite big thing over the
I try to get a new website built at the moment for one of my businesses, and they were being quoted anywhere between £1,000 and £3,500 for a simple website.
Yeah.
And that's not transferring the data across either. That's if they're doing that, I think it's a good price.
In fairness, just to kind of justify the price, we're not asking for massive. We're asking for 5 or 6 pages to go across, and they're very static pages. So again, that could be why there's such a difference, but I also agree. I think £500 is a good price. Obviously, if you go up exponentially, we turn and say it'd be nice to have this and nice to have this, etc.
The one thing you probably would need to consider on the option is quarterly WCAG 2AA compliance scan report service. Now that is going to be a external auditor addition next year. There's something called Assertion 10 on the external audit, and this will form part of that compliance. So as a council, we would have to tick the box and say that we comply. So that has to be done somewhere along the line, whether it's done here or whether it's done later, but it has to be done for disability access.
It's a quarterly test.
It's compliance standard report service. So obviously they come back to us and tell us if there's anything that are not compliant with the legislation, disabled access, because there's a statement on the website that says we comply with disabled access.
So the cost of that is.
£299 per year.
So I would have assumed that would be covered as part of our base package, because they said they would take our pages and make them accessibility. No, they would make it in compliance with regulation.
Yeah.
So I would assume their base package.
It's got down as an option extra, but we can ask the question.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean that is very important, because of course part of what's included is free .gov.uk domain for 1 year. Now I'm not quite sure how that works with other members of the council. It's just a parish council website, and that, the email address, because that's the big thing, really, isn't it? It's all very well having a domain for the parish council on on my contact. What about all the
I
others?
thought when he was talking to us before, he was talking about making a number
Yeah.
of emails
Yes,
available.
doesn't actually say it on here, but I suspect we need to ask some questions.
Yeah,
just
so
to check.
if it's created the domain, obviously we have multiple email accounts
Yeah,
associated with that domain.
because I know Lymsham have done theirs now, haven't they? .gov.uk. There's one or two others that started moving in that direction.
Take it down.
Okay.
Okay.
So, it's over to the council to decide whether, I mean, obviously we've had to do something, because we have a website come January, February. So whatever we do has got to happen fairly
Oh, did
swiftly.
give me a time frame of how long it would take as well. Didn't write down. He actually said something like 7 weeks, so which is obviously rather close.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean to say he's available starting tomorrow.
Our existing client did say they would keep us,
They've run it on.
they would
Yeah.
keep it going,
Yeah.
they won't suddenly cut us off.
We're not compliant.
No, exactly.
And the other thing I want to say about the .gov.uk thing, obviously it's a safe, secure website and email for the council. Although it's going to become a legislative requirement in time, in March it won't be ready for compliance. So we've got a bit of time on our side in terms of setting email addresses up. But it will, perhaps a year later, it will certainly become part of the legislation process.
I think we just need to double check that what's included in the 499, whether those, because if those emails are included, we might as well set them up now and using them initially. But at least you've then got it as a package rather than then going back later and saying, well, can we have something else which will then be given another charge for?
Okay.
So 2 questions I've got is, does the base price include the email setup, and does the base price include the accessibility cost that's listed as an option?
Yeah. Okay. So do you want me to go back and send them an email asking that question? Or
I can do that.
You
I'll
Fine.
CC you in.
So I don't know how members want to move ahead, whether you want to, in principle, say, yes, we go on that basis, providing those answers come back saying, yes, that approach to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the proposition, seconded at the end. So the proposition is that we go ahead with aubergine at the price of £500 plus VAT, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Subject to those 2 clarifications, and if those come back as yeses, then we go ahead. And I think the running costs then end up being broadly similar, if not slightly less than we.
Slightly less, I would say, than where we are at the moment, actually, because, to be fair, decision power have been creeping up over the last few years, I think, quite substantially. So I think the fact that he does it, these people do it a little bit cheaper, I'm not surprised about, actually.
But equally, to be fair, they've done
a good job.
a solid job for
They've
us.
done a good job. They've always been there, they've always been available.
Yeah. Okay, so those in favour of that proposal, please show. That is unanimous.
Good.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I am going to ask one question though, because the optional extra of the accessibility is something we actually need. It might be worth getting a decision from councillors now. If they do turn around and say, no, I'm sorry, that is an optional extra, where does that leave us? Because we've had 2 providers. They are kind of poles apart, although similar in price of what they're offering. It's whether we're happy to agree. Obviously, we'll push back and try and get everything for the £500, but are we in agreement to pay that extra £200?
We have to.
Not if we want to use aubergines.
Has anybody looked at any of their website? Might be a good idea to look. The only one I can just roll off the tongue is Curry Rival. Use these guys. So if you just Googling Curry Rival Parish Council, you'll see the website in action, so to speak.
Okay. But basically, as I understand it, the consensus is that if we have to do that, we have to do it. So, yes, but thanks say that.
Oh, no, absolutely. Although we've recorded, so
We won't put the video in coverage.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
it was really good, really good.
Yeah.
Okay. No policy updates for this time. Very quick update from Somerset. So they've now, Somerset have now gone ahead with the £3 million project for the, in effect, grading and reviewing staff contracts and pay. We were given information that I think at the moment there's in excess of 1,000 members of staff who are on supplementary payments over and above the standard rate that they get paid because we can't recruit people without those supplementary payments. So what they're trying to do is look at what the base level is and see whether we're actually at the wrong level for the base. It will imply that we probably are. Obviously, we have to work within a budget, so the comment has been made that if we end up significantly increasing staff salaries, then it may well be that we end up having to reduce numbers of staff. But currently, in effect, we're paying more because we haven't got staff recruited. We've got people on supplements. We've also got temporary people and agency people who are all charging way in excess of what the standard rate would be. So that hopefully will help sort itself out. That will be taking place over the next 2 years because there's going to be quite a lot of negotiations going on with unions and making sure that we don't leave ourselves open to the sort of Birmingham situation of massive compensation claims down the line. There's, as you know, we came to the end of the planning sort of lockdown period. There is a motion that's been put to full council that came to scrutiny last week, which is basically looking to have a major review of what's going on with planning, and particularly to look at introducing a what's being called a good practice charter, particularly with agents and applicants, but also with parish councils, so that people know what they should be expecting from the council and what the council would be expecting from them. So that will be going to full council for council to decide whether they're prepared to proceed on that basis. The Sunday parking charges consultation has come to a close. That's going to be going to committee. First of all, the scrutiny committee in November, and then executive in December for a decision. As yet, we haven't got the results, but it would be interesting to see what the feedback has been. I am led to believe there has been a very good response in terms of numbers. That people have made their views known, both members of the public, businesses, and other parish and town councils who could be affected. Because one of the proposals was that in some areas, parishes or towns would be able to keep free parking, but they would have to pay Somerset what Somerset would have got if they charged parking. So we've had some responses from parishes and towns on that one as well. Finally, I was just going to mention that we've been advised that the winter team are up and ready for any frost and highway works. We've been advised there are now 23 gritters that the county has got that are ready to go out. They'll be covering, it's 117,000 miles of roadway. And last time we were out last year, it was 1,700 gritting runs. They were called out on those number of occasions and used something like 6,000 tonnes of salt. So it's a pretty mammoth effort going on, but it's something that hopefully, weather permitting, we might not have too much need if it carries on anything like it is at the moment. Other than that, have to take any questions on all issues Somerset? Okay. Financial report.
Financial report, and in fact, we probably spotted a little mistake there. It's for November and not October. So that was all in your mind when you read the agenda. Payment list for statutory pay for November. These are the payments that we make, which were agreed earlier in the year, in March. So I just need and that's on the minute 24123. That needs to be approved separately. Resolution to approve.
So having to pay the normal standard payments, which are the ones
The
on a regular
contracts,
basis.
Yeah.
All those in favour, please show. That's clearly carried, you guys.
Now, there's quite a few payments this month on variable payments. In fact, because last month we only had one, I think, so there's quite a lot this time around. So I'll go through them. There is one additional one which has caused a little bit of controversy, actually, and this is from Somerset Council. They had this habit of sending us an overdue notice, but not sending the original invoice. So, of course, the first thing I get from them is an overdue notice. I've tried to take this up with them, and as typical, you can't speak to anyone on the telephone. You've got to send an email to them, and then you don't get a reply for weeks and weeks on end. The long and short of it is that we have an invoice of £608.40, which is overdue, which is not on the payment list. So I would urge that we perhaps consider paying that, because it's for the bins.
Dog bins.
It's a quarter, no, not dog bins, it's the rubbish bins.
Oh, right, okay.
It's a quarterly payment, so we pay 4 payments a year, £608, it's £2,400 a year. They used to charge us for dog bins on that same profile, but of course we don't pay for those now. They just charge more for organ bins instead. Okay, so that's one I would request that we can approve. Room hire charges for the period 30th June to 30th September, £140. Water to business account for the period to 14th of 3rd to September, £326. That's in line with previous years. There's not much difference. I wonder there might be a big change with the changing facility. It looks to be about very similar to what we've had in the past. Up or down £20, £15, £20. Paul Dixon's installed some cycle racks in the village car park. And he's also fixed, which is not on here actually, so I've just added it, I've just received the invoices for a small repair to the notice board at Bakersfield of £50. So although it says 155 on there, it's technically 230, the whole invoice.
How does that work? It's only £50. 155 and 15 makes 205.
Yeah, there was another item actually. There was another item if I recall. Just have a quick look. Look at the actual invoices. Because I only saw this invoice yesterday actually. Have a look. We've got £45 for the deep flow guttering at the rear of the village shop. That was the other item. So there was £45 in addition, £30 for the Baker's Field, and then the invoice of 155. So that adds up, isn't it? 230. You're saying 250, right?
45.
45.
50 is 95. Plus 155
That's
is
250.
250.
Well, I clearly can't add up.
I think that's my maths in my head.
So anyway, those are not on there. So you have the liberty not to pay those because they're not on the agenda. But I would say because they're relatively small amounts and which are pre-approved items from the council, then it may be something you might consider favourably. Plant expenses and office account for July to September. That should have been last month, but it was forgotten. So £308.91, and that again is pretty well in line. Last year was a bit lower, because if you recall, I had an operation last year and wasn't operating for about 6 weeks, so therefore a lot of the costs were lower. So that's the reason why it's about £20 lower, I think, than last year. Then we've got to consider the remaining part of the Steve Pin invoice, which we deferred from last month. Bob's got the email. Yeah, Bob's got it.
So this was the work we had carried out, and we originally had a quote for 2 stiles to be replaced by gates.
Yeah.
And then what we ended up, because we went back to them and asked him to change that to replacing one with a gate and repairing the stile that was there rather than changing it. We queried, basically when the invoice came through, it was the same as the original quote, so we queried was it right or not. So we've had a response back where he outlined to us and said, just the parish council's information, the cost for him doing the actual gate would have been 5 bags of postcrete at £25 plus VAT, plus labour, and that was for removing the rotten stile, dig 2 holes, slip trench and concrete in. For doing the repair, the actual parts were a timber plate at £16.20 plus VAT, a step timber posts at £21.40 plus VAT, and fixings of round about £10 plus VAT, plus work to remove the rotten and defunct timbers, dig 2 holes, dig in the step posts, and fit the plate to the fixings. So in actual fact, based on the figures he's given us, his actual items of equipment that he was having to buy is more than he was going to charge us for the gate, because the gate, of course, we were supplying him with the gate. So the costs to him in terms of that were more. He's charged in effect, therefore, less labour than he would have if he was putting the gate in. But it comes broadly the same figure, so it's up to us whether we wish to query it further or whether we're happy that basically it's as broad as it's long, we go with the quote that we had.
I think we've got an explanation for it. It's just gut feelings like.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound good.
Okay.
So that's the speed pin one.
Yeah.
The council laptop, which is getting ever more desperate, we've actually got a final quote for that now. This is for £584, including the office subscription. That's for a fairly sort of run-of-the-mill laptop. It's an i5 processor, Intel, pretty much the standard as this one, and it's an Acer one from Laptops Direct, which I think you've used, Charlie, and you seem to be quite competitive. And I haven't purchased it yet because I wanted to get your okay on that before I went down the track. Okay. I don't like spending council money until I've got an approval. So, but that and the Office 365, of course, adds to it. So I just need that approved. PWLB payment for 17th of November. That's our normal sort of not quarterly actually, quite. It's every other month actually. But according to the budget, it's all working in line with where we set last year. They've got a very complicated spreadsheet, which I wouldn't even show you actually, how that works. But it does work. It all fits into the agreement that we made with them. Somerset Forge Milestone A38. This has been partly contributed to by local residents who, can we give his name?
I don't think we should, but there are two local residents
Two,
who each contributed to, with their grants, they pretty much covered the cost of the works.
So we just, obviously we were, because we're actually paying for it effectively, with their grants, we can obviously claim the VAT back legitimately.
What is this? Was it for?
So the milestone is one. So there is a milestone near the Fox and Goose, near where the signs go up for the sausage sizzle.
Right.
That was installed by the parish council back in the millennium year as a millennium project to be replaced. So that originally there would have been a milestone there. It had disappeared over the years, and it was done for the project back in the millennium to put it there. So you'll see that there is a stone base with a metal plate giving the distance to Bridgewater, and underneath there is a metal plaque which has a bit of wording about the fact it was put there for the millennium. It had deteriorated badly, and we were approached by a resident saying he would like to contribute towards getting it refurbed. So it was refurbed by the same people who did the signs for us, the finger posts, the prop people, and he and another person have contributed to pay the bulk of it. But it's our assets that we're putting in as our project.
Yeah.
And we have had the checks from them.
So we've had the checks from them, so it's all, it's paid in.
Yeah.
So we're not used to paying checks in. And of course with Unity Trust Bank, that means I have to go to a NatWest. You can't use the post office with Unity Trust. So you've got to find a NatWest post office.
So I'm with NatWest, and you can actually photograph the check to pay them in, so I don't even need to go.
Well, yeah, I think you can probably do that. I'm not into this.
That's the next IT project.
Good luck finding in that
I
website.
haven't checked, I haven't quite researched stage yet. Okay. Scribe subscription for 25-26, 414.72. That's the same. That's the annual subscription.
Okay.
That hasn't gone up for a couple of years, but for next year they are putting it up by about £50. So I suppose that. But I'll come to that when the time arrives.
Charlie.
So before we move off those, I just want to go back to the laptop and 365 subscription. I'm assuming when you register the laptop, you won't have to put in your email address. Given our email addresses are changing to gov.uk one, we do need to be mindful.
I'll probably give them this one to start with. I'll have to probably if I'm going to do it.
The only thing I don't know is how it will impact your subscription if you have to change the email address.
With the Microsoft, of course, because you can't use any other facilities, I would need to purchase it myself anyway. 365, I would need to purchase it myself in my name, but I would have to put a email address against that, because obviously they'll want to update it through the process.
Can you have that conversation with them both before you?
I'll try and have a conversation with Microsoft. Have you ever tried having a conversation with Microsoft?
No?
It's almost
Only fakes.
You can have multiple accounts linked to that. So as long as the primary accounts, you still have access to that.
Yes.
Which I suggest is the one that you
Yeah,
use.
sure.
But when you have the Outlook set up, you
Yeah.
just add another account. You
Right.
log up one.
Yeah, because this is a single user one, remember?
Yeah.
Because I know some of the Microsoft 365s are family subscriptions, aren't they?
It should be
Multiple.
okay.
I'll check into it. I'll look into it anyway.
But always
Fine,
get
yeah.
set to
And just to check, so the address we're talking about is the clerk at Brent Knoll Parish.
Parish Council, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Cool.
But Microsoft are a fun company to deal with. I mean,
Through human beings.
they're probably worse than the Inland Revenue, actually, and that's saying something. Okay.
So then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 items there we've just been through. Are there any of those that anyone wants to query? If not, are we happy to have a proposal that we pay all those on block?
If Paul thinks it's done the work, we just add that on as well.
Yes, so that's going from 155 up to 250.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Propose
proposed.
it, yeah.
Thank you, Charlie. All
Okay.
those in favour, please show.
Okay.
Excellent.
As financial matters, payment list for October. I started sending this out from last month. We never used to do it actually, but this is the payment list from Unity Trust. Sorry, not from Unity Trust, from Scribe. And it's generally now seen as good practice for councils to see what payments have gone out through Scribe in that month. So what you get pre-circulated is a Scribe report, which shows all the payments that I've listed on there in that month. So I've pre-circulated that. Some councils have been doing it for a long time, some councils haven't. But in order just to comply with the auditor again, set it up.
Queries on that list for the same payment. Okay.
Budget. Next thing is the budget. Now, Bob and I have had a bit of fun sorting out the budget and the calculations, but for the purpose of this meeting, the most important thing is the budget. That's not setting a precept, looking at the budget. And that's something which we discussed following Andy, Bob and I discussed.
Can you do your laptop room?
It's just slowly grinding to a halt, actually. It's okay. I mean, it still works all right, but the battery lasts about 7 minutes now. So I never rely on it. Come on. Talk to me.
Hello.
You know, your new laptop will probably say that.
It probably will, actually, yeah.
Hail.
Life. Come to life. There you go. Password in. There we go. And then I'll go into the budget. So this is just the budget only. It's nothing to do with the precept or reserves. This is purely and simply the budget that has been taken from the individual budgets that I've sent out during the year. Okay. So I'll just explain what it is. Basically, on the left-hand side, the A column, okay, that's the budget that we set in the current year. That's what we set this year. The B column is where we are up to September, which is exactly 6 months. It's a good figure to use because it's 6 months up to there. Where I have changed it this year, I put the October, November, December, January, February, March on the same sheet. Last year I had them on a different sheet. It was a bit complicated. So I've moved it across so that you can see in the blue, I put all the items that I'm expecting for us to pay out between now and March. And then if you look at the right-hand side, the forecast March 31st, that's where I expect it to end up. So if you take that figure there, add your blue figures, that's where you end up for the end of the year. So our income budget was 74,000, 75 in September. I estimate it will come out 79 by the time we get to the end of the year. That's the forecast. Ignore the right-hand column on this for the time being because this is more about expenditure than income really. And I can't put a precept in because I don't know what the precept's going to be. So if we go down to expenditure, the staff costs are amazingly similar. I mean, you have a budget of 15,106, half year 7, and then you see 15,032 full year forecast. So pretty well in line in all departments really. It comes from the 3 things: net, HMRC payments, and the payroll manager. there's nothing much to say on that because it's pretty static. Coming down further, we come into what we call council admin, which is all the things that the council does that don't really affect the village as such. So there are things like subscriptions, banking charges, expenses for the office, insurance, those kind of things. You see there that we originally started off with a budget 782, and I'm expecting to end up 79. So a little bit of an increase. Let's pull that across a minute because it's got no figures on it, has it? Pull that one across. There we go. So yeah, again, a little bit of an increase there. And some of that is due to that figure there, when we had our audit meeting last week, Andy was quite generous about how much we should allow for our laptop and Microsoft. I think that was overly generous because it's not going to be anywhere near that.
Is that not included in row 25 where it says website and software IT?
Not really. You could go in there.
Right.
If people felt more comfortable with it in there, it could.
I just wondered what the 400 and the 500 that is in November and December.
That's Dave and Willem. That one is Dave and Willem. The December one, because he normally sends his bill in there. The 400 scribe.
Right, okay.
Okay, so they're the two main payments between now and the end of the financial year. Audit fees, again, it's a bit of saving. Well, we'll come on to the budget in a minute, but there will be some saving next year because we went over the 200,000 threshold this year, so we have to pay more audit fees. So that will come back down again now to where it should be. And there's various other things in there which don't change very much. The clerk's gratuity, which is effectively a pension, really, pension payment. Elections or reserve, room hire fees. Fairly easy to guess where it's going to end up. And for some reason, I don't know why, we had 595 in our community support up to the end of September, and I believe that was the refreshments for the April. So we, and I put white in blue either, but anyway. So let's move down a bit, because where more serious expenditure comes in is village costs. You can see there's quite a gap there. So if you look at it, village green, churchyard contract, play facilities was the thing that, play equipment was the thing that really threw it up this year, because obviously we had that massive £24,000 for the GB Sport project. But there's only 7,000 in there, because what we did, we took it off reserves. So we actually took off the bit that the council, so it's only the bit the council pay, not the bit the reserves were covering. It's a slightly different way. That was something that Bob raised. I mean, I probably wouldn't have done it like that naturally. I'd have just put the total figure in there and then just taken the reserves as used. But it's like all these things, you can do things in a different way.
Can I ask a question? Again, row 41, which is general maintenance, there's like nearly £2,000 extra on there.
Yeah. Good
I know
question.
there's things like we've renegotiated for the green being cut, and there's things like the poo bins and things like that. Is that?
That would come under general maintenance. No, it wouldn't actually, because that comes under there actually. I'm just trying to think what that would have been actually, that increase there. It obviously that does include Jason's verge maintenance charges, so that would be static because that hasn't changed very much. I have to come back to you on that one because I can't actually remember why that is.
That's quite a substantial.
It's quite a chunk.
Yeah.
Quite a chunk. There's obviously a reason for it, and I'm just trying to think what it was. There was a specific thing we did, and I haven't made note of that actually.
But the toilet cleaning go in that section as well.
Sorry?
Cleaning of the toilets.
No, toilets are separate. Actually, a separate sheet for that. And special projects, we didn't use anything on at all.
You've carried it forward into column J.
I've carried it forward now because we're going to put it into reserves, aren't we?
Oh, right, okay.
We're going to put it into next year's reserves because if we've not used it, and there's some projects coming up next year, and we thought it might be appropriate to put it into reserves. In which case it would transfer internally, it's not an expenditure as such. We've got an accountant here, so he'd probably give me all sorts of reasons why we shouldn't do things like that. Council finance is quite unusual, actually. It's an unusual way of doing things, actually. Some accountants find it difficult to get their head around sometimes. Loan interest payments was the big one, of course, which we didn't have in a previous year. But as you can see, it came out pretty well close to where it should be. Should be spot on, actually. There's obviously a reason why it hasn't, it's a couple of quid out. The Play Reserve Fund we used this year's allocation because we used that as part of the capital expenditure for the aerial runway. And then there was the Ashley Baker retention, which is what Ashley Baker, the builder, held back. We held back in case there was a major problem somewhere, which we will now settle with it.
We haven't done this yet.
We haven't done it.
It'll happen before the end of the
In
year.
December probably, and I'll probably come to you with the December payments list, asking if you're happy to carry on paying that.
I was just trying to get my head around the
That's general
17,000, well, the 17,000 discrepancy between our £37 budget and 53,000, and there's the three areas. So special projects, money's going in the reserve.
The special
The
projects.
play equipment.
And of course that
And
play
also
equipment
the
didn't have a
general
budget against
maintenance.
it, did it?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
that's 14,000.
Yeah.
There's something in that general maintenance that's nagging at me, and I don't know what it is at the
It's
moment.
We clearly approved it.
Well, yeah. Actually, what I can do in a minute, I'll look on Scribe in a minute and see if I can find it. Because Scribe will tell me. Scribe will tell me everything.
Next time.
So let's just have a look down. Let's say this is the very first stat at budgets. Coming back on the toilet block there, we had 4,500 budget toilet block. 1912 up to September, and then I'm reckoning 3706 now. What we haven't done this year, we haven't paid for any electricity because the shop have got the electricity account now, and we pay for the water at the moment. They pay electricity. Rob and I, we're working it out to see whether we can leave it that way. We just pay water, they pay electricity. Depends on who uses most of what. Really. We don't really know that at the moment. We know our water is very similar to previous years, but we don't know what the electricity costs. And we've got a separate meter, of course.
They have solar panels on the shop, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, so you are getting a discount on electricity.
Well,
in
yes.
some months.
So yeah, we all thought the toilet block would be less money because we wouldn't have the maintenance charges. Although we have got more cleaning charges now, of course. It costs there £2.99 every month for cleaning, which we wouldn't have had in previous years. So, and of course that's coming up under discussion as well, the contract for that later on.
I think just from the feedback we've had over the last few months about how impressed people are with our toilets. Well, I hear quite a lot. Okay. Not impressed with the
They are
Loads of complaints coming in.
lots
Really?
Hell of a
due
lot.
to the builders.
Okay, yeah. But the actual toilets
Yeah.
themselves.
Toilets,
Toilets, yeah.
But it's the mess,
Right.
and they're not happy.
Which is letting obviously the parish council down because they think it's down to us.
Yeah.
You can't have a clean room every 5 minutes in there.
Any observations on that? We've tried to work on it. We've worked on this to some extent together because there were some calculative errors on there, and there were one or two other things that didn't work, but not so much on this sheet, but on the later sheet when we start thinking about precept, the calculations for that, because this is one element of precept. It's what budget we agree on, and we need to go through the writing for them as well. But the other main one is the reserves you wish to keep as a council. Generally speaking, 6 months is the norm. Some only keep 3, some keep 9. But it's the reserves that make a difference in the precept very often. And a lot of councils get confused between the budget and the reserves, and they can sometimes get the figures wrong. So, because we only have one standard precept, we have one go ahead, we apply for it, they pay it, and if we undercook it, there's no means of getting further funds until the following year. It's important we get it fairly clear, fairly right. So just going back in terms of the budgets, so looking at the budgets for, now I just put in on that dark red colour there, I just put things that I know that we can't really change very much. And on the first column, there's not much that you can change there really. They're all sort of statutory things, insurance, audit fees, website, possibly might change a bit. Subscriptions, banking charges, can't have much of an effect on those at all. Where the difference really comes is when you get down to the village expenditure, village costs. Some of those you really can change, village green. The bulk of the village green cost is Jason's contract costs, but there can be other costs as well. The churchyard contract remains pretty constant. Play facilities is really GB Sports and their monthly fee. General maintenance, you make quite a big chunk in that if you want to set a higher budget. Play equipment on capital, again, I suppose if we were looking at play surfaces and things like that, we'd probably be looking at that going into that area, or would we look at it in some other area?
You've got a play reserve fund further down with £2.5 grand.
Yeah. SID services apply, that's Stuart Nichols. Again, you'll probably put it up a little bit for next year, but we won't know that until we get to the next year. Somerset, well, again, they'll probably put it up a bit, I guess, won't they? I imagine they put the rubbish collection things up a bit. Footpath maintenance, we have quite a low figure in there actually.
So when we had the audit group, we sort of felt we wanted to put some more in there on the basis that we know that there are footpaths both opposite the sort of Red Cow heading out that way and also down Ham Road, where we've had reports over time that there are dodgy bridges, there are dodgy handrails. We haven't done a huge amount on that this year. We thought if we put some in there, we can then have some money to try and upgrade those during the next year.
Yeah. So, loan interest payments are going to remain static. Can't see any reason why that will change. Play reserve fund, of course, you'll obviously go for a similar amount again. You may want to go more than that. You may feel that 2.5 is not enough, you want 3.5 or whatever. And of course, you won't have the Ashley Baker retention fund. So, so if you look at what I put in there so far, that comes to quite a bit less than the forecast for the end of this year. And that's because there are some things coming out of it, like the Ashley Baker fund. And it's really up to you to decide what on those right-hand side you want to put in for next year, if you want to see any major expenditure in any area. I mean, that just to give you a guide, because we're not looking at precept until the December meeting, but as a guide, that budget and 6 months expenditure gives about 69,000, 70,000 precept at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's about, it's just a ballpark figure without doing the calculation exactly. It's about 69, 70,000, or 68 this year. So that budget would not create a massive increase in precept. Only about 1,000 or 2. So if you did want to put something else in the budget on the right hand side, it would push the precepts up a bit.
But there may be expectations in the village that they'll be going down because of things like the Ashley Baker not being in there. So again, we just need to justify that.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is whether there's anything that we're going to be taking across from Somerset, which they do at the moment, which we might have to do in the future. We're not aware of anything at the moment, particularly. But some parishes are making strong allowances for that.
And in effect, to some extent, we've given ourselves a bit of leeway with that special projects fund, because there is, like we had 7,000 in there this year, we've got another 7,000 in there for next year. So in terms of the works that we're talking about up the hill, that would use last year's fund, but that leaves something in the kitty for doing something else that might well need to do during the year.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, you can approve it at this meeting and approve it next meeting. Certainly you've had a chance to have a look at it and think about it.
Yeah, I think if members want to go away and have a look
Have
at
a
the
look at
figures,
it. Have a look at it.
we know at the next meeting we will be looking at both finalising the budget and
And
then
precepts.
looking at the precepts that
Yeah.
flows on from that.
Yeah.
Are there any questions that anyone's got in terms of how the process works or what the figures are roughly that are out there? Say nothing at the moment is set in stone unless it's purely a starting
We
point.
do a more detailed, we do a more detailed analysis than many parish councils do. A lot of them tend to just put finger on the edge of, 65,000 last year, oh, we're making 67 this year, and that seems to be how some of them work. I think that's totally wrong with taxpayers' money. You have to look at it line by line, really. Okay, so you have a give it some thought between now and then. Okay. Budget, so we're council the tender
contract.
Council
Yes.
contract. We had on the tenders. In the end we
So
had
this is
three.
the general maintenance.
General
tender,
maintenance, that's right,
grass
yeah.
cutting and stuff.
We had three people tender, including our existing contractor. The extraordinary thing was that one of them came in at about £3,000 less than our existing contractor, but had very, very bad references from other parishes. The other one came out twice the cost. So we had a parameter of between 5,312 and 15,000. So that for the same. Now, bear in mind the contract tender was exactly the same. They all got the same document out, and they came up with that differential. So the cut-off date was passed. So it's actually up to you to decide whether we go for a chunky 15,000, a poorly referenced 5,000, or stick where we are.
I think we're discussing.
Yes, the figure where we are at the moment is 8353. That's the annual contract tender. That's a 26 to 29 with yearly annual reviews on both sides. Not annual reviews on the annual reviews on the price, because obviously we always ask Jason if there's small additional costs that he needs to cover going forward on the 1 year reviews. But the contract itself gives us an option. If the job is not being done to our satisfaction, we can come out of it after a year. If he doesn't want to continue to do it, he can come out of it after a year. So that's how it works.
Just
John.
referencing back to that spreadsheet there. If the general maintenance budget is 6,000, if his fees,
His contract includes the church maintenance
Right.
and the village maintenance, so it's broken into more than one.
The green, there's three items: the green, the churchyard, and the verge maintenance. Okay. General maintenance.
Adding on to Jonathan's comment then, when you put together the budget in column K, have you taken into account, which one have you taken into account in the budget?
I've taken
The one we're probably going to approve.
Exactly.
But also there is not a big increase in terms of this year's quote from what he's been
£400
doing.
up on this year. And he kept his contract pretty well the same for several years, actually. It was only about 3 years ago he put it up at all. So, okay.
Is there any other questions or a recommendation?
I'm sorry,
I was going to propose.
That is that we go ahead with
Yeah,
the current
basically.
contractor with the quote as outlined.
He does a good job and he's always there. So.
Right, those in favour that we continue on that basis, which thanks unanimous.
Okay.
Excellent. Then we go to the
Toilet contract. Now we went for a tender on this. We've only had one tender, which is our existing contractor. Nobody else has come forward, even though we did advertise it at BKN. I was expecting one other. He didn't come in the end. He didn't come in with a tender.
And how does it compare with the current?
Same.
It's
So £2.99 per month, same as now.
And that again will be on the same basis as a 3-year contract, but with
Exactly.
annual use.
And that's for 2 times a week.
So I know you guys said, from your experience in the shop, that you said that there's issues with the toilets.
Yeah.
But if you take the builders out of the equation, are we happy with the
Oh,
cleaning
yes.
service that they get?
They are brilliant, they are brilliant.
Because I think we've had the same experience with
I
the
mean,
mall, there's no issues.
They're concerned because they don't get paid for Wednesday
Yes.
and they do clean on Wednesday. I went in at 7:30 this morning and those toilets were disgusting. They come in
Yeah.
and they cleaned it from top to bottom. And it is the builders now.
Is that the people working across the road?
Yes.
Yeah, why haven't they got a toilet?
Is there something we can do? Can we actually have a
Or
conversation?
do they not have a bucket where they can scrub their boots before when they come off site?
Owen, I think you did
I
raise.
did raise it with them, I went over and saw them actually.
The difficulty we have is technically it's a public toilet, so if someone wants to use it,
When they're doing building work, you have.
they should have their own on-site.
Yes, by law, you've got to have a welfare unit for any work.
I mean, they've been there long enough.
There is a couple that takes their boots off and puts their shoes on, which is good. But I watched him today and he seen me watching him and he put his boots off and shoes on before he came to the toilet. Because I'm getting fed up with it now. And it's
Just Joe Public complaining, saying the
Yeah.
toilets are dirty, and was saying, well, they're being cleaned. But they can't be there every day or every half an hour.
And why should they?
the trouble,
Yeah,
And we drop them an official.
the trouble with the cleaners at the moment are getting so worried, they're thinking, oh, the council should chuck us out because we
Yeah.
ain't doing our job, but of course they're doing their job.
yeah.
We need to find,
Could you
somebody
get
find,
details,
somebody find
contact
that builder,
details of the
otherwise
builder, so we'll actually formally write to them this time rather
you
than
can let me know what to do.
a friendly verbal approach, which
Yeah.
did make a difference for a little while, and then they've slipped back
It's
into
the back into old habits
Yeah.
now.
I actually know the actual person that owns the company as well, because they're from Swindon.
Okay,
It's Typhroad, yeah.
okay,
So,
if you can let Owen know the details of the
Yeah.
officially.
I'll drop the line.
Yeah.
In a very polite way as always.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of the toilet contract,
Yeah.
so proposed Jonathan, seconded David, all those in favour that we continue.
Okay, thank you very much, that's good. Now the quotes for I put down here quotes of play surface replacement, repair, other quotes. We had a quote from GB Sports for the play surface under the climbing frame. It came out at 8878 to do the play surface. That's taking off everything, ripping it all off and redoing the play surface. They've come back with a couple of options. They could cover the surface as it stands with wet pour over the whole surface, which would give it a new lease of life, but couldn't guarantee any of it would last. In any event, it probably only last for 2 or 3 years. So that was 3,500. The other alternative is if we dispose, like David kindly did, of the when we did the other surface, it comes out at about just over 2,000 less. About 5,600, 5,700 plus VAT. So that's the difference really.
So if we were looking to do it, then we would be needing to look for grant funding. Now, this time of year, there is the Nuttall Trust that we can apply for. We have had funding of 2,500 from them in the past for projects. There's also last time when we did play equipment, we applied to a trust fund that also gave us something circa £2,000 odd. So there is potential for grant funding that could help us meet a lump of that sort of 5,000 plus cost if we needed to, and then we've got our own 2,500 we're putting in the budget for next year for play equipment.
Yeah.
It's not, most of the rubber is coming up, isn't it? Yeah. So even by the seesaw was coming up. So
I think we'd have to work our way around the equipment potentially.
Unfortunately, the people that did it originally weren't particularly good contractors.
right.
Unfortunately, we just perhaps chose the wrong people.
But I mean, it's done 10 years or so.
Yeah,
So
that's what I mean.
it's-
Yeah.
So it's used every day, really.
There were 2 other quotes that we had, if you remember, also for other bits of repair work to the kit. Approximately just under £1,000 for doing the replacement of the damaged metal work on the mugger, where we had a report that it was a danger to people's eyes when the metal had bent out. So they cut that off, but it's not structurally solid in the sense of to just leave it. But to replace that was approximately just under £1,000. And then there was also the other quote we had, which was for them to replace the abacus, which was about
Yeah.
400.
546, that did include VAT. We can get back, of course. So, yeah.
But the bridge on the climate bridge, that was rotten in some places.
That we had no quote for.
We have no quote for
That probably would be a local, that might well be a local contractor to do that in terms of woodwork replacement.
Sort of Paul Dixon's area.
Because that is bolted on, so it could, panels could be replaced on that, we can get a separate one for that. But in terms of funding, as I say, if you take we would need to get funding grants. If we got the 2 grants and we put our own money in, we could cover those, technically we could cover those 3 items. But how do you want to proceed?
It probably wouldn't be done till spring anyway, would it?
No.
Probably by the time we've got the grants and so forth in place.
Grants, we know early new year.
If we're using that reserve already next year, now we're budgeting for using it now, aren't we?
Yeah.
So there is a reserve for next
So
year.
the 2.5 that we're putting aside for next year would in effect be used
Yeah, for this project.
between now and the spring.
So David, are you happy to remove
Yeah,
service and
As
get
long as I
like
can get some help like last time.
Yeah, and if we could do a working party.
I think I might have to borrow a mini digger. I think I might say yes. It might be paid.
I did come and sweep up every day.
Yeah, it's greatly appreciated.
It was quite chunky stuff. I was okay to do it. What am I supposed to feel?
I think given this,
Yeah. Yes.
I think it's something we need to maintain. So it would be awful to have an amazing green but really poor pavement.
So are you happy that we go ahead and we apply for the grants and we make a sort of, provided we get that funding, we go ahead?
Plan in place.
Okay.
Okay.
All those in favour of that, please show that. That's clearly carried. Thank you very much.
I think that's come to the end of finance.
That's it for
Long
finance.
last.
Yeah.
Yes.
So another request of consideration we've got. Any update on the SID?
Well, SID's gone back now. They collected it 2 weeks ago,
Right.
and now we're waiting for a repair cost. And what we did, we changed it so that the batteries and the repair was all dealt with at the same time, because it means when they send the batteries out, we don't pay additional carriage. So when they send the repaired SID back, it would come back with the batteries with one delivery charge. Okay. But I haven't heard yet from them what the costs are.
Okay. And have we heard anything further back about the AMPR alarm and whether we can get extra remotes?
I haven't heard back from them, no.
Could we give those
So
a
I'll
check?
try and chase that up, remotes.
Anything else on?
Or the alarm goes off again.
We have one. We do have one.
Quite
in the village,
impressive.
that's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
David Panic called one night.
But if we have something similar again, at the moment the remote is held by the people in Burton Road.
Yeah.
On the
Yeah.
estate, so they can
Yeah.
control the one there, but if it's elsewhere in the village,
Yeah.
at the moment we've only got
That's
one
fine.
control.
Just the fact that it gone off for 24 hours and
Yeah.
it's a lot later than you'd ever imagine.
Okay, so that takes us on to the website upgrade, which we dealt with earlier.
Yep.
The community Dropbox community shop, my understanding is they're still looking into the dimensions of that and they're going to report back to us after the next
I'm
meeting.
actually waiting for them to contact me, because it's the thing, they go around and meet up with people there and do the measurements out of them. But yeah, I'm still waiting.
All right.
Okay, the preparedness we said we were going to deal with the next
Deal with that
meeting.
next meeting, defer.
On the flood alleviation, we had a request for some further information from the lady at FWAG, which we sent some information back, but I hadn't heard anything more back from her. I don't suppose you updated that yet.
No,
So we'll keep pushing on that
I
one.
might send a little drawing, just to dimensions, just if it
That would be good. Which then brings us on to the confidential matter, which I need to then ask that in accordance with, unless there's anything else on those before I go into the spiel. Okay, so in accordance with section 1(2) of the Public Bodies Admissions to Meetings Act 1960, and as extended by Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972, the public, including the press, be excluded from the meeting because of the confidential nature of the following business to be transacted. Are members happy that we go into confidential
I'm
session?
sure of that.
All those in favour, please show.
Okay.
That's clearly carried. We wait a while to pause. brings us on to matters of report. So, any member items? Amy?
Yeah, I've got a bill here for you. Signs.
All right.
I put an email out asking where you want them and what you want to put on them, but no one ever responded back to me, so
Right.
I bought them in tonight.
Okay.
Show you 35 quid. It works out 34.46 for 3 of them. Solid ones.
Okay.
So you're not going to rot away with that. You just got to decide what to actually put on them, and do you put an arrow on it if it's like down at Red Cow or something like that. Obviously, it's going to be on there, primary school.
Yeah.
But they're solid ones. So as soon as I know where you want to put them, I'll go and put them up.
Okay.
Red Cow said we can put one up there.
Yeah.
But we might be getting a new AED there actually outside the Red Cow itself as well, yeah. Because SAD's the one I'm speaking to. They're doing some charity work next weekend. And if they raise enough money, they're going to buy another defib. And I've asked Red Cow, and looks like we might be able to put it in there. So we have one end and one the other end.
How are you going to write on this, or
I've got a proper mark then,
and it won't deteriorate with the weather, etc.
only about 2 years' time, and then just come and do it again. That's all. Yeah. Just keep that up to date, that's all.
Yeah, thank you.
But that's it done.
Okay.
So we just got to decide where you're going to put them.
Where is the AED?
That's cool.
That's the primary school. So we need one down that end, one down that end, one at the hall here somewhere.
Yeah.
To say primary school, and then one down where the Burton Mill or at the edge.
We could do with some pick your dog poo up signs. As well. Your nearest
I'll
bin
put that on
is.
there for you.
Your nearest bin is.
Yeah.
Thinking the late John Harper would be very proud of that.
Yeah, that's that anyway.
Okay. So I'll next agenda.
Right, okay.
What else have we got? Oh yeah, I noticed a bench in there, you mentioned bench earlier on. Well, we can get the slats ourselves and just drill the holes out and just redo it all. That bench is busted.
In the
I can do
park?
that.
In the park?
Yeah, the park, sorry, yeah.
Right.
I can do that myself.
The benches we were talking about with the staining and stuff was the ones out.
Yeah, I've got all of them, but it's too late for the weather,
Yes.
yeah. But I'll do it now anyway.
Right.
But there's a bench in there with a couple of slats busted, isn't there?
No. That's the one that was the one with the damaged slats. It's not the bench at the back. It's the picnic table.
That's what I meant, sorry, yeah. That's what I meant, picnic table.
Which we agreed we were going to get rid of that and replace
Oh,
it
right,
with a proper consolidated
Yes,
one.
we ought to put increase our grant
Yes.
to cover the cost of one of those.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think I'll let Jane do that one, but the toilet lights up front, because it's totally black,
Yeah.
but it needs a constant white light, I think, there as well, because people are going around and think, where's the toilets then? They can't see anything, because it doesn't say
Yeah.
toilets.
Lucy, I think she mentioned it yesterday.
Ask us to have a look at changing the
How you sort of fall over
Yes.
before the light comes on.
Yes.
Yeah. Which,
Okay.
So basically, there's a sensor which turns the lights on the outside of the toilets at the moment. Apparently, it's set so it only triggers when you're halfway down the path to the second toilet. So we needed to trigger it earlier.
trigger before.
That's all I got, Bob.
Okay. Okay.
No, that was it in Anglican Street.
Okay. Good.
That's
I'll do it.
Only the request we've received to the parish council from the guides for sponsorship for their trip to
Got that
India.
here, yeah.
Because we will be putting in an
We will be putting in,
extra
yeah.
asking people to put in their bids for
Grants,
grants. So that
In
should
fact, that should really go in the December one, shouldn't it?
which is the next
The
one.
next one, so I'll put that in.
Deadline is the 12th.
Right.
Okay, thank you all very much. And we'll close the meeting. Thank you.